In today's show, we're going to be looking at Sega Genesis and Mega Drive games that sell for more than $1,000. My name's Mike, and this is the Retro Gamer Boy Show. Welcome back, Sega Mega Drive and Genesis fans, and those that are just a little bit curious. Yep, today we're going to be looking at games that sell for over $1,000 for the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive. Now, the games that we're going to be looking at today have all sold multiple times for over $1,000 in the last 6 months. They're also single games, so no collector's editions, no teacups or special books. And they've all shipped over 100 copies, so no competition carts either. Now, the pricing of games is a touchy subject. You're either a collector and you want games as cheap as possible, or you're a seller and you want to get the maximum price for them. What I would say that all these prices that you're going to see here today are at their top, the peak, the most they've sold for, and you can definitely still get a bargain or cheaper prices on the games that we're going to see today. Mega Man Wily Wars is a game that has seen a huge increase in price over the last 12 months for PAL owners. The game used to hover around the £400 to £500 mark, but started to see a rapid price increase in 2021, with copies now regularly going for over $1,000. The game features Mega Man 1, 2 and 3, as well as Wily Tower, which is unlocked once all 3 games have been beaten. The game was re-released for the original Mega Drive and Genesis recently, and now this release is also seeing a steady price increase, with some copies getting close to the $200 mark. Crusader of Ascenti for the Genesis is an awesome RPG for Sega's 16-bit console, and if you want to add an original complete in-box version to your collection, it can cost upwards of $1,200. It's the most expensive standalone commercially released game for the Sega Genesis. Its PAL-released Soleil is a fraction of the cost, and pre-2021 would sell for around £90. With a price increase in North America, some sellers in Europe now try to sell their PAL version for well over £300, despite being readily available. But buyers of PAL versions beware, as this game has 5 versions released for it: an English, German, French, Spanish and multi-language version. If you can look past the eye-watering price for this game, then you'll find a stunning Zelda-esque game with great game design, beautiful soundtrack and stunning visuals. Shoot-'em-up fans are all too familiar with expensive games. Shmups constantly sit shoulder to shoulder with some of the most expensive games on any gaming platforms. And if you want to get your hands on the excellent Eliminate Down, then you'll have to shell out over $1,200 for this Japanese and Korean exclusive game. The game's developer Aprinet only made this game and co-developed an F1 title before going out of business. Despite the quality of this title, it was permanently in the shadows of bigger shmup franchises like the Thunder Force series, and so suffered from poor sales, making this a scarce game. Snow Bros is another Japanese and Korean exclusive game. The platform action game is similar to games like Bubble Bobble and received average reviews when it was ported from the arcade onto the Sega Mega Drive. Despite not being a must-have game, it has maintained a consistently high price, which is largely down to the developer of the game. Sometimes a game will be expensive because it's great and hard to get hold of. Other times it's because it's rare, and sometimes it comes down to who made the game. In Snow Bros' case, this game was created by Toplan and ported to the Mega Drive by Toplan themselves. Not a very common practice in the games industry, as developers look to make as much profit as possible on a port and will often get a cheaper external company in to do the work. The death and return of Superman is infamous on this show. It's a game that with a few well-timed sales managed to more than triple its price. Back in early 2021, you could pick up a PAL copy of this game for between £350 and £500. Not a cheap game, but also not a game worth over $1,000. However, in late June 2021, 3 separate sales of the game rapidly moved the game to the top-end price point from £500 to £1,600 before settling back down at £1,300. It is to this day one of the largest price increases for a single game on the Sega Mega Drive. The game itself is far from stellar, and the reason for its scarcity in the PAL regions is because of a game-breaking bug that ended with a claim halting production. If you're enjoying this show and you're finding it interesting, it would be great if you can leave a thumbs up. Make sure you drop down into the comments below letting me know what you think of expensive games. Do you think the bubble's going to burst, or do you think games are just going to keep on getting more expensive? Battlemania Daigenju is the sequel to Troubleshooter on the Sega Genesis. It is one of the most gorgeous looking shmups on the system, with great gameplay and awesome presentation. Again, being a shmup, the market is not big enough on home consoles to warrant a large run, and so this title had a smaller sell-through rate, which was not helped with it only getting a release in Japan and Korea. Whilst the title has increased price over time, it's not been drastic, but still it can command a price tag of over $1,600. But if you're willing to wait and be a little patient, it can pop up for a little less. Before the huge price increase of The Death and Return of Superman, Pirates of Dark Water was consistently the most expensive commercially released PAL Sega Mega Drive game. Similar to Battlemania Daigenju, the price steadily rose over the course of 10 years, and at the beginning of 2021 a complete in-box copy of the game would set you back £600. However, after the last price hike of Death and Return of Superman, sellers felt that the price of the classic 90s cartoon game incarnation should rise in line with the new prices set, and by the end of 2021, several copies had already sold for more than $1,800. Lakers vs Celtics is a very common game in North America, but in PAL countries the game is extremely rare. Only 192 copies were ever made, and these were the initial review copies for retailers and press. The game was cancelled due to licensing issues in Europe, and so never saw a full public release. The amazing thing about this game is the only difference between the PAL and NTSC version is the sleeve and manual. The cartridge and its label are exactly the same in all regions and can be bought for as little as $5. And so if you want to buy this game, you'll be spending thousands of dollars on a few bits of old paper. So there we have 8 games that have sold for over $1,000. Now, just because these games sell for a ton of money doesn't mean you have to spend a ton of money to be able to play them. There's a ton of options out there for you to be able to enjoy your favourite classic games, whether you're a collector or just a gamer that wants to relive some of these old classics. Always spend what you can afford and what you're willing to spend. Now, if you're new to the show, why not consider subscribing? You can do this by clicking on a little button just below this video. We put out brand new retro gaming videos every single Monday, and so that you never miss one, you can also click on the little bell also just below this video. Now, if you can't wait until Monday, don't worry, because we've got a huge back catalogue of retro gaming videos for you to enjoy, 2 of which you can watch over here.